are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights.
What's good and what up? It's your brother Sam Ant here at Viral Hip Hop News. Do me a favor, family, before we get started with the content. Y'all know what to do. Go up top and hit that like button. Alright, so obviously we're all still feeling the effects of the unfortunate, untimely, unnecessary death of Nipsey Hussle being fatally shot and killed on Sunday evening, leaving his Marathon department store. Very sad. Like I said, this sending shockwaves throughout the hip-hop community and the world alike. Everyone's sending prayers to his children, his parents, and of course his wife, Lauren London, who obviously we people had their sincerest thoughts out and were wondering what she was thinking, even though we all respected her time and didn't expect her to say anything. She did jump on her social media platform, I believe IG, if I'm not mistaken, and said this: "I am completely lost. I've lost my best friend, my sanctuary, my protector, my soul. I'm lost without you. We are lost without you, babe. I have no words." Very short, yet very heartfelt. You can feel the pain in the words. It's, like I said, she didn't owe anybody anything, even coming out and saying anything, but her getting on her platform and just sharing what she's going through right now, still less than, or about 48 hours now, if not a little more, from him passing away, everything being so fresh. We now knowing or having someone in custody for the murder of Nipsey Hussle, Eric Holder. You'll see that commentary on the back end of this conversation via the Uncensored Truth podcast, my brother Oh God, so stick around for that. But yeah, man, prayers up to Lauren London, prayers up to their family. Her dropping this statement on IG a little while ago in regards to how she's feeling. Stick around for the content in regards to Eric Holder being obtained by LAPD and further information involving Nipsey Hussle in this case. Rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. Y'all subscribe to all the movements. Without further ado, the Uncensored Truth podcast, my brother Oh God. Let's go.
Nipsey Hussle, being shot and killed the other day in LA. Before we came into the podcast today, we got word that the alleged shooter of Nipsey Hussle has been caught. Now they're saying that the LA County Sheriff's Department did put out a tweet pretty much announcing that Eric Holder was apprehended around 12:53 p.m. on the 900th block of Artista Boulevard. You see the video there. We got on the screen him, being searched, brought in to custody. Now, we know yesterday the picture started to surface about, I think when we left the podcast more so, the picture came out of Holder and, they had to manhunt him with the girl, the car that they was in. And we knew probably within a 24 to 48 hour window that he would, be captured. And, I know for the family, this is just one more step. And I mean, in reference to the Nipsey Hussle family, this is one more step closer to justice. You know what I mean? For them, obviously, the longer it would have went on with him not being captured, it'll just been more. So hopefully, they can get him in and bring this guy to justice if this is indeed who the shooter was. It does look like it is that guy.
Well, we talked yesterday and we talked about the number of surveillance cameras that they have throughout Los Angeles, in particular in the shopping area where Nipsey Hussle did business, the Marathon store where he was at, where he unfortunately got murdered. And just someone had to find him. The police had to find him within that 24 to 48 hour period, just based off of the amount of surveillance that they had out there. Mm-hmm. Now, it is alleged right now, but it is more than likely him being the suspect based off of the camera evidence and things like that. And like you said, it's a one step to closure for the family, but it's still so fresh, and it doesn't justify it at all. It's really disgusting. Like we were talking about in the pre-production, when you really think about it, it doesn't matter what scenario you could possibly throw out there outside of him putting threat to your family or harming your family that you could justify something like this. It really doesn't justify it, and it's sad. And you still hear the conspiracy theories, which I think are a bit immature now at this point. We can talk about that a little bit if you want. But it's a real unfortunate situation. We can dive into this a number of different ways.
Well, the conspiracies, when I hear that the family is, furious that people are even entertaining that with the Dr. Sebi, which I think is a little, outlandish. Obviously, what we see now is what they're saying. It was a personal, they had a disagreement. They're saying that he, had an altercation. They're saying that the dude was allegedly a snitch. He was a police informant. You know, Nipsey told him to leave the area. He came back with the gun. From the footage, we could tell he started shooting, you know, people, you know, there. So very, very unfortunate, because like you said, there's no justification for whatever happened in this situation. You know, whatever dispute was over, for you to take a man's life like that, a man that was giving back, you know, to the community, you know, boots on the ground for real, caught in a very uncompromised position, man. It's rough, man, because, you know, when you, and I just recently, you know, probably in the last year, really, you know, started coming on to Nipsey, because we started to see him, you know, more so with the Culture Vulture. He hooked up with Kenyatta and Dame, and we was, you know, rocking out with them for a minute there. And we kind of just was introduced to him, because a lot of times on the East Coast, we don't really connect with a lot of the West Coast guys, but he seemed to bridge that gap, started listening to his music, and it's almost like, definitely we could compare him to Pac, you know what I mean? Prophetic. You talk about Victory Lap, the stuff that he's talking about in his music right now, I think, man, is it's just an amazing dude, man, and definitely sad, very, very sad. Like, not even lying, not even, you know, a lot of people just get on here, really, you know, shed a tear for this dude, man. I ain't gonna front.
This is genuine, and it's his home. It's his home on a personal level, and not that we know Nipsey Hussle personally, because we don't, but this just hits home. We can relate to situations like this where violence unjustly happens, where somebody picks up a weapon or a gun and takes somebody's life for no fucking reason. It's terrible. And when you see somebody like a Nipsey Hussle out here changing his life and doing good for his people, schooling his people, and him being wise beyond his years, because even in his younger interviews, as much as he was probably wild and running around doing this thing, he was still talking about buying into real estate, things we're talking about in our mid-30s. He was still talking about empowering his people and taking care and investing, as opposed to going out here and showboat and putting value into things that depreciate, not appreciating value. So very wise beyond his years. These aren't the type of dudes that you take out, no matter what the justification is very unfortunate. I want to switch gears a little bit in the conversation and talk about one of the angles that we've been hearing often, and it's the black on black crime angle. Yeah. And a lot of people are out here, they're very outspoken in saying we have to stop killing each other, we have to stop doing this, which I agree with. But there's also a little bit of a narrative being steered and a little bit of a glamorization, dare I say, amongst us, when it comes to quote unquote black on black crime. Oh God, what's your thought on that, man? Yeah, man, when we talked about that and we kind of briefly got into it yesterday, you got to go back and do your history and just look at, you know, it was a time, obviously, when we were in America, where we were amongst each other, thriving, in the black on black, obviously, you know, people that live amongst each other are more likely to kill each other, but the rate wasn't as high as it is right now. And it goes back to, you know, lack of opportunities, lack of jobs, being put in these environments where anybody, even in this country, even further back in the 20s and 30s, and even up into the 40s a little bit, you know, immigrants were coming over from different European countries and whatnot, and they found themselves in the same conditions, and their murder rates were high. They were killing each other. Where do you think you get the mobster movies from and all that, and these people killing each other and these different things, you know what I mean? So it's not race specific. It just so happens right now that we have been through, and they're not making any excuse, this is just facts, we have been through some of the worst atrocities. We have not been able to recover. We talk about coming up from segregation, and then when there's a direct correlation between black on black crime, influx of drugs, HIV, poverty, all these things start to, you know, spike when you see the ghettos and stuff, and the black people starting to go down the economic ladder. So when people say, oh, you know, they got to just stop, newsflash, it ain't going to stop until there's more, you know, opportunities, until there's better education, you know what I mean, till people are making better decisions. And that goes back to the education, the food that we eat. It goes back to the way we taught, the culture and everything. Hip hop is a deaf culture. All these guys on the internet, all these rappers, some of them fake, some of them real, they all promote that shit. They all promote what happened to Nipsey Hussle. Oh, you disrespect me, I shoot your ass, I kill your ass. Oh, you do this, I take your girl. Most of them cats promoted that shit and got rich doing that shit. That's what they promote. So are they hypocrites in saying rest in peace Nipsey now? Or some of them are, man. Some of them are. Now, I'm not saying a guy can't change his life around. Everybody has that right, you know what I mean, to go through and change his life around. But we know, you know, damn well that a lot of these guys promoted that, man. And it seems like we talk about somebody being killed, but on the other hand, you got rappers that promote the drug use, people being killed like that too, ODing
all day long, people promoting that in these industries. We were just talking about Lior and him talking about, you know what I mean, what the type of stuff that's being promoted. And we hear the music. So it's just like art imitating life, life imitating art. It's wrong. Wrong is wrong. That's all I can see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here's my thing on the whole black on black crime and how it's glamorized out here amongst us, because you don't see or white people saying when you see a murderer or serial killer going in and killing a white suburban family or anything wild like that, or the husband, or whatever scenario you see, you don't hear them saying we got to stop white on white crime, or you don't hear Asians saying we got to stop Asian on Asian crime. It's not as glamorized and as publicized as it is toward black people. And when it comes to even the media and how what you see on the news, all they really do is report on inner city confrontation, conflicts, to kind of give you and paint you the picture of, yeah, this is what's going on a day-to-day basis. When you look at it, this is going on everywhere in the world. We don't dominate when it comes to numbers out here. We're not the highest statistically when it comes to murder rates. We're not. It's just when you look at the numbers, we're not. But we're the only ones that you see killing amongst each other. And when you even look at ghettos and how they were systematically set up, and the experiments that they did back in those days, and then how the rise of the drug age and things like that, and when we started getting put in these boxes, how were we going to react to something like you said? The fuck do you expect? What really do you expect? We can talk and we got to love each other more. I agree 100% with all of that. I'm not sitting here making an excuse like, oh, God said he's not making an excuse, but it's over glamorized, and we got to pay attention to that too, not get too caught up in the hype.
Yeah. And you know, all I can say once again, man, is just look at Nipsey, you know, as a shining example of what, you know, us as black men, you know, should aspire to be. That's all I can speak for. That's what we are. You know what I mean? It's aspired to be, you know, ownership, owning your own businesses. I mean, Nipsey, you know what I mean, was so brilliant to even drop 7 money and ownership lessons of Nipsey Hussle. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to go through all of them, but it is up on the Instagram page. You know what I mean? But, you know, he talks about creating value, real estate. You talked about him, you know, buying back a store that used to keep him out of, you know what I mean, coming up. So he did it. He did it systematically. He did it the right way. He did it on his own. Look at Nipsey as an example of what we should aspire to be like, and still go back into our communities, because we were having this conversation yesterday.